Welcome to the Museum Roadshow. It's August 2010. I'm Roger Engstrom. We're out here at the Western Minnesota Steam Threshers reunion grounds at Rolog, where we're going to be doing a story about a log home that was built in 1871 by Cormorant Lake. And it has been donated here to the showgrounds and being fixed up for people to enjoy, to see what living was like back in the late 1800s in this area.
The house was originally built for my great-grandparents. It was Sievert and Ingeborg Olsen. That was my grandparents, or great-grandparents rather, on my father's side. And then my father's dad, my grandpa, married one of their daughters whose name was Clara. And then they lived in the house. And then in about 1951, we lived in the house with my parents, or I did, with my parents and my two sisters, while we were building a new house on the farm. Because my dad had come back to take over the farm. So we lived in there when I was 6 and 7 years old. We lived in there a little over a year with my grandparents, who were Ole and Clara Globstead. Then, of course, when we built the new house, then my grandpa stayed with us in the winter time, but in the summer he moved back up into the old house. My grandma had passed away by then. The farm was over in the Cormorant area, right next to Cormorant Lutheran Church. In fact, the property that Cormorant Lutheran Church is on was donated to the church by it was either my grandparents or my great-grandparents. I suspect it was my great-grandparents that donated the property where the church and the cemetery are. There were 2 bedrooms upstairs, and my parents slept in the smaller of the 2, and then my sisters and myself, we were all pretty young, so we all slept in the larger room. And of course, the only heat that we got up there was basically radiant heat off of the stovepipe, or the chimney that went up through. And I know that in the wintertime you could see your breath up there when we'd get up in the mornings. You know, it was pretty cool. You know, but I can remember you know, eating at the dining room table in the kitchen, and it was quite an experience. We didn't have electricity, of course. That came through in 1949, and that's about the time that the electricity was put into the house here. But there never was any plumbing in the house. You know, we carried in water from a pump house out behind the house, and we had a little basin in the kitchen where we would wash our hands, and of course we had a drinking pail, or whatever you call it, where we'd just have a ladle and drink out of the ladle from the pail there.
Well, I'm Dwayne Erickson, the grandson of Nels Erickson, who was the one that originally built this cabin in 71 or 70 or whatever particular year it happened to be in. So,
after their family came here in 70, it was the following year they built this one for the Sievert Olsen family.
Yeah.
And
he actually came to the United States in 69, my grandfather.
He was the carpenter of the crew and the one that did the handwork. There was no power tools, no store to buy anything, so they did everything by hand and made it.
Forged all their steel iron, you know, heated it up and hammered it together. Okay.
So there was a lot of craftsmen and knowledge in what they were doing. Nowadays we have a tool that makes it look straight. Them days they had to do it accurate and make it fit together, as you can see on the ends of the corners of the buildings and inside where everything has been put together to make it come out straight. So there was a lot of time consuming to get something up and they could be living in. And I'm sure it was done, this one was done pretty much all at once. Some were done in pieces, put up part of it and then added to them and then put a floor in them, or however it was done. And
Yeah.
I don't know when windows, they had to go back and find glass.
Yeah, I don't know. I never heard anything about windows.
It was just told to me that they had used birch bark for the roof instead before there were shingles done, until they brought them into the area. So then they did have, I heard years later, there was a shingle machine brought in when they were making them, but they didn't have that at the time of the erection when they put the thing up. So it was made do with what they had. It was, you know, real tough to build out in the middle of nowhere. And the people that came here, they left for a reason, and they were going to be successful. They weren't going to lose or go back, because they left and told people they were going to the better land. So a lot of corresponding was done back and forth at that time, just keep track of where everybody was. I read in the Squeaky Wheels, right south of Cormorant was another little village, and that was a post office on a mail route. They came that far in '70 even. They were bringing deliveries, plus there was a cargo route, and their mail was dropped off. I don't know how often, I can't remember when I read in the book about it, but there was, the little girl that wrote it said she woke up to the wheels squeaking because it was a regular traveled ox cart trail or whatever it was. So,
Thanks for watching the Museum Roadshow. Tune in next week when we take a walk through this historic home.